Welcome to HSBC Global Viewpoint, the podcast series that brings together business leaders and industry experts to explore the latest global insights, trends, and opportunities. Make sure you're subscribed to stay up to date with new episodes. Thanks for listening, and now on to today's show.
I'm Lisa O'Connor, Global Head of Client Change at HSBC Security Services. For this episode of Global Viewpoint, I'm thrilled today to have in the studio with us Alec, who is Deputy CEO and CFO of CTF Life, and Fiona, who is Global Head of HSBC Security Services. Thank you for joining us today, Alec and Fiona.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
In today's episode, we'll talk about the pivotal role that insurance and asset servicing are playing to fortify Hong Kong as a leading international center. Let's get started. So first today, we'd like to talk about Hong Kong's role as a global financial center and insurance hub and how we expect that will evolve in the next 5 years. Alec?
Yeah, hi Lisa. Amidst geopolitical uncertainty and macro volatility, Hong Kong is a beacon of stability, which continues to cement itself as both a leading international financial center and insurance hub. Hong Kong ranks third globally among global financial centers, according to GFCI 38, and is the leader in Asia Pacific for open capital markets. As a gateway connecting global investment and mainland Chinese companies, we are seeing an uptick in locally domiciled IPO issuance, progressive regulations on digital assets, and simple and tax regime reforms underpinned by a robust talent pool driving growth. Hong Kong insurance industry, with the highest penetration rate globally, stands at a strategic inflection point, caused by significant growth fueled by both local and offshore markets. The general insurance market in Hong Kong is projected to grow at a CAGR of 5.1%, from 8.9 billion in 2025 to 10.9 billion in 2029. And 2025 estimates reflects an year-on-year growth rate of 4.7%. And we expect this trend to continue.
Thank you so much for sharing those very interesting statistics in terms of Hong Kong's status as a global financial center and also in the insurance sector. That's fantastic. Thank you. So next, we'd like to talk about some of the key changes in client expectations and the needs as clients are expanding across Asia, and how we as an industry can best address those. So Fiona, over to you for your views on security services industry and what this means.
Thanks, Lisa. So as we all know, Asia is very diverse as a region, different cultures, different regulatory regimes. And what we're seeing really is that despite that, asset owners and managers are really looking to create a consistent operating model across the region, and they're looking for a partner to help them do that. Now, they're looking to do that because they see efficiency gains and cost gains in doing so. And then if you couple that with the drive for data-related services, so asset owners and managers are looking at how they service their underlying investors. And to do that, they need data to be consistent and for that to be real time and for that to be flowing through to their investors. So we see those two themes emerging quite strongly.
Thank you, Fiona, for sharing that. Are you seeing similar trends in the insurance sector as well?
Yes, we are seeing similar trends in insurance sectors, and especially the end customers now are getting younger and the digital expectations are becoming more sophisticated. For life insurance company, we hold a large amount of data. And now the key is to how do we leverage all this data into making sure that we can provide more personalized services to our customers through this data and information that we have on hand. And those providers, which can evolve with the customers, will be the one that thrive.
And that's a great segue to our next discussion that we wanted to have, which was really around the digital transformation of operating models and also product offering. So Alec, you talked earlier about data, and it'd be great to know now how data and technology are transforming the insurance sector.
I think AI has the potential to transform the whole insurance industry. A recent global survey from FinEstra showed that 38% of the financial institutions in Hong Kong are already using generative AI, compared to the global average of 26%. And the Hong Kong Insurance Authority has done a survey and found that it has already transforming the insurance landscape from underwriting and claims to fraud detection and customer services. And 20% of the insurers have already established a strategy to steer towards AI adoption. A study by EY also helped to explain why insurers are like to do so, because they think it could benefit the average cost savings of more than 20% over the next 2 years with AI-related productivity enhancements. Area of focus would be like marketing, personalized and customized service as well. Leveraging predictive analytics, insurers' ability to manage risk and will enhance the revenue as well. The survey found insurers are investing heavily in predictive analytics, with 74% of the firms identifying it as a key area for underwriting and claims functions.
That's amazing. It really goes to show the innovation in Hong Kong as a financial center. Thank you, Alec. Fiona, there's a lot of use of data, new technology, and security services as well in helping to serve clients as they expand across the Asia region. Can you share a little bit more with us about that?
Sure. AI really does have the potential to transform the industry, and we're seeing that more and more in terms of the possibilities. We're seeing more organisations roll out their own productivity suites with analytics and really starting to embed that in the organisations. There was a recent McKinsey paper which focused on asset management, quoting that for a manager of, let's say, $500 billion of assets under management, that if they really did focus on rolling out AI appropriately, they could get 25 to 40% cost savings. So that's quite enormous. Across security services, we do see this being used across the value chain. Now, that said, there are many different applications of it, but it needs to be in a controlled environment. It needs to be with a focus on, what is the return on investment? We should no longer be playing around with this stuff. It needs to be very focused. It's, what is my control environment around it? What's the regulator's view on what I'm putting in place, and how am I showing that we've got the right level of discipline? And then also thinking about the workforce. So, what my son coming to work is going to have a very different view of life or experience than I ever had. And so the skill sets that we're going to be looking for are very different. It's going to be EQ becomes more important alongside engineering. So making sure that people are doing scenario planning around the use of AI to look at what could potentially go wrong and to plan around that, but also to be able to call out hallucinations and misuse of data. So the world, the technology has these benefits, and then how we operate it and what we look like as individuals really changes as we go on that journey.
What an exciting time for your industries. Thank you so much for sharing. That's really interesting statistics, especially around the ability to harness some of these new technologies and what that could bring in terms of efficiencies to your industries. So lastly, what I'd like to ask you is just really around the critical themes or areas of focus for insurance providers and asset managers, and how they should prioritize to adapt and future-proof their operations amongst not only these kind of trends in technology, but also the current global landscape. So Alec.
Yeah, I think cybersecurity and operational resilience are among the most important themes. AI cannot be advanced without cybersecurity. So the two must be developed together. And more regulators nowadays, including Hong Kong, are scrutinizing cybersecurity's protocol at a much more detail at all financial institutions. Data security is the key. Different markets have different rules on data security, storage, and transfer. This highlights the importance of selecting a reliable service provider with strong risk management framework, as data protection is the key to the choice of provider. And HSBC actually is a trusted partner of this aspect.
Thank you so much for trusting us. We always appreciate it, Alec. And I think that's a really good segue to you, Fiona, as well, because I know obviously, you're focused on this. You're focused on how do we future-proof our operations and adapt to everything that's going on in the global landscape. So from a security services perspective, what's your view on that?
Well, I think it's fair to say there are a number of converging practices. So you look at T+1 in the marketplace and how that is becoming much more global. So what that means is that organizations are looking at their legacy technology to shrink that friction. But then you layer that with the data analytics and the data capabilities that we have now, and then AI, that becomes super powerful. And we have the potential to get to properly real-time settlement, properly real-time underlying investor settlement. And again, I come back to the control environment. So making sure that we've got the control environment in place and the population and the skill sets to manage that, the power becomes quite immense.
Alec and Fiona, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Global Viewpoint. It's been a real pleasure speaking with both of you and an honor having you here. For those of you at home listening, thank you for tuning in as always.
Thank you for joining us at HSBC Global Viewpoint. We hope you enjoyed the discussion. Make sure you're subscribed to stay up to date with new episodes.